Hello, welcome to episode 10 of the Top 2 Inches Rugby Podcast, sponsored by I Spy Surveys, the go-to specialist survey and inspection company based in Exeter, Devon. Well, what a weekend of ruggers we had. Not only did we have the climax to the Eight Nations competition, we also had round 3 of the Gallagher Premiership, which we will be reviewing again in this episode with my good mate Ollie. We'll also check in on the Allianz Premier 15 for the ladies, see what happened this round. We'll also check out the fantasy rugby. It's not going well for me, I ain't gonna lie. And we also have a new section this week called Games I Remember, where I will be reviewing a game that I was actually at. England Southwest versus the New Zealand All Blacks, down at Redruth, Hellfire Corner and all, from 1993. This is all coming up on the podcast this week. The final game of the Tri-Nations took place over the weekend between Australia and Argentina, and this game ended in a 16-all draw. Reece Hodge missed a late penalty to take the victory for the Wallabies. I've seen the highlights of the game, and obviously there was a bit of controversy leading up into this game. Pablo Matera and 2 other players who had made historical comments on social media, and which it came to light had kind of been left out of the game. And there's not really a great deal to say. It was a pretty dull game, really. You had Salaka Lotu for Australia. He was sent off. Just a couple of tries. 1 try from Hooper, 1 try from Del Guy, but mainly penalties. Again, it wasn't, from the highlights, it just didn't look that great. I mean, credit though, I suppose, to Argentina. A win against the All Blacks, 2 draws against the Wallabies. They finished second in the table. All Blacks win the tournament, and the Wallabies finished in third place. It'll be interesting to see what games continue to kind of come up, over the next few months, and what will happen moving forward for the teams. That sending off was nasty and pretty dull sending off, to be fair. Coming on the 60th minute. That's the Tri-Nations done and dusted for this season. Michael Hooper in his post comments kind of said they weren't happy with their performance. They were disappointed that they didn't get to win their last game. I also saw on social media that obviously, as social media does, people are saying Hooper isn't the best person to be captain. So we'll see how things pan out in the future. Okay, so as I said in the introduction, we're going to try a little new section called Games I Remember. It might take off, it might not, but we're just going to give it a go. And the game I'm going to be reviewing in this episode is the game between England Southwest and the New Zealand All Blacks, taking place in 1993. New Zealand were on a 13-match tour around Great Britain. They took on different teams like London and South East Division, the Midlands, Northern Division, like I said, the Southwest, England, Scotland Development, and the Barbars. New Zealand actually won 12 out of the 13 games, with their only defeat coming against England at Twickers, which they lost 15-9. So as I said, the game I'm going to be reviewing was England Southwest against the All Blacks down at Redruth. Redruth, the recreation ground, I have had the opportunity to play there, and there's Cornish folklore about Hellfire Corner. Many a team, including my team, came a cropper because of kicks down into that corner. And I think at this time, the Southwest were considered the best the best team that could potentially beat the All Blacks outside of the internationals. I want to set the scene. New Zealand had players such as Jeff Wilson, Eric Rush, Frank Bunce, Stephen Bashop, Jeff Wilson, and the person that I really wanted to see was Vainga Tuiglamala. In the forwards, they had people like Craig Dowd, Ollie Brown, Sean Fitzpatrick, Zinzan Brooke, Robin Brooke, Jamie Joseph, John Mitchell. So let's be under no illusion. This was a pretty solid international team that New Zealand had sent over for this tour. And let's not forget, majority of these players obviously played in the 1995 World Cup final, which they lost in South Africa. The Southwest team they had a pretty decent team as well. A lot of Bath players, a lot of internationals played in this game. Just to name a few, you had like Graham Dorr, Victor Mbugu, Ollie Redman, Hall, John Hall, the flanker, Ben Clark, Andy Robertson, the entire Bath back row. Kieran Bracken was at scrum half. De Glanville was in the centre. John Callard was at fullback. And unfortunately, Stuart Barnes, who was still playing, and Jerry McGuscott were due to play in that game, but they were both injured. Now, I've seen the All Blacks do the haka. I've seen it on the TV, and this is the one and only time that I got to see it live. And I'm not joking, it was spine tingling. You have to kind of picture it. Well, to be fair, you could watch it. I've put it a 40-minute clip up on my Twitter account at the Top 2 Inches Rugby Podcast. So please do go over to my Twitter account, check it out, see what you think. You had hundreds of Cornishmen. People had come from all over the country to watch this game, and it's the All Blacks. We got quite lucky, me and my dad, because the school that I was at had got some tickets, £10 each. Me and my dad were like, yeah, we're having some of that. We'll go down, watch the game, get a pasty. We got down there early. We got our pasty and set ourselves literally right-hand side of the dugout, right against the fence, on the touchline. And yeah, I cannot describe the atmosphere. It was ridiculous. Unfortunately, New Zealand did run out victors. They beat England Southwest 19-15. So to be fair, you can imagine it was a pretty intensive game. And what the memories that I take from that game are, as I've said, the atmosphere. Vainga Tuiglamala literally was poetry in motion. Power, speed, sidestep. It was ridiculous. Phil de Glanville took an absolute shoe-in from Jamie Joseph. Obviously, back in the day, rucking was allowed. His head was terrible. He was pouring blood. He had a really nasty injury. And if I remember rightly, I think he actually came off with a fractured cheekbone. Can you imagine the atmosphere of all those thousands or hundreds of Cornish people? That's happened. It was literally, they wanted to get to Joseph. And I remember every kind of attacking play that the Southwest did, we were banging on the top of the dugout. The atmosphere was incredible. And just to get to opportunity to see those guys play was fantastic. And for a young lad who at the time had just kind of got into his rugby and was enjoying his rugby, it really kind of enhanced that desire to kind of do as best I could. It's the game. I've been to many games. I've said before, I've been lucky in seeing games like in New Zealand. I've been to Twickers several times, Premiership games. But for me, that is the game that I remember. It's the one that stands out. I've still got the programme upstairs. I remember after the game, might sound a little bit sad now, but I used to read the player profiles. It meant that much to kind of go and watch. It was fantastic. And obviously, as I've said before, my dad's passed away. But to have that memory of spending that time with him down there was fantastic. And they do a good Cornish pasty. So yeah, next week we'll check out another game to remember. It's time to check out round 7 of the Allianz Premier 15 for the ladies. We only saw 6 teams in action this week, unfortunately. The games between Exeter Chiefs and Saracens and Durham Shark and Sale Shark have fallen foul to players or staff giving positive COVID-19 tests. So those games were, like I said, postponed and will be played at a different time. So let's start with Wasps ladies against Loughborough Lightning. Lots of high octane play in this game. Wasps broke the deadlock on 11 minutes. Abby Dow broke down the left, and after being brought down close to the line by an amazing cover tackle by the fly half Helena Rowland, Harriet Miller-Mills muscled her way over the line. Lightning, however, they responded quite quickly, and Rhonda Lloyd scored out wide after a series of drives from the pack. The visitors crossed again just before the break. Lark Davis finished off a rampaging rolling maul in the corner to put the Lightning into a 3-point lead at half time. Just as they did that, as they did at Saracens in round 5. Wasp, though, bloody hell, they came out firing in the second half. Ellie Kildun went over early after another break from Dow, putting them back in the lead again on the hour mark. And then Dow finished off a line-out drive, and Megan Jones' touchline conversion took the score to 21-10. It was an impressive performance, I thought, from the Wasp ladies, who, it secured them a win against one of their main rivals for the coveted top 4 spots. The next game we're going to take a look at is the very and ever dependable Harlequins, who took on Bristol Bears. It was a bit of a pasting, unfortunately, for the Bristol ladies. They lost 61-17. Lots of red roses on display for the Quins ladies again. They are at the top of the table. It was their 7th straight bonus point win of the season. Shauna Brown powered over for her 7th try of the season. Bristol responded through Jasmine Joyce, who broke down the left and scored what turned out to be the first of the 3 tries for the Welsh lady. Brown scored again, her 2nd try of the afternoon, and then it was a bit more of a one-sided affair in the second half. Further tries came from A.B. Cocaine, also Christine Sumner. It was another ruthless display by the ladies, and they were going to have to wait now until the Sunday the 20th of December before returning to action. And that will be a game against the top of the table clash with Saracens, so that's going to be interesting. And then the final game that was played was between Gloucester Hartbury and Worcester Warriors. They both lost last week, and obviously both teams wanted to bounce back. Tighter affair, this one. Gloucester running out 15-7 winners against the Worcester Warriors. It's difficult. Both mid-table team. Both have got a lot of talent, it was a close affair, really. I didn't actually get to see any highlights of this one, but it was a good win for Gloucester, obviously on the road going to Worcester. Okay, so let's get down to the business of the episode, reviewing the Autumn Nations and the 3rd round of the Gallagher Premiership. I am joined once again by my oldest and dearest compadre, Oliver. How art thou today?
Hello, mate. How art thou? I'm good.
Are you out and about today, or are you snuggled up on the sofa like I am?
That's where you live, isn't it, mate? Snuggled up. No, I'm not, mate. I'm out and about working. So just pause for a little lunch break and to join you on the pod again.
Ah, fantastic. Thank you very much. What is on the lunch menu for you today, then? Let's just sidetrack a little bit.
It's really exciting, mate. Sarni's on the road, mate. That's basically it. A little packed lunch.
Oh, have you got
lots of coffee to keep me going.
Oh, I bet, mate. I bet. And a little banana as well for good
of course,
fats.
Mate. Of course, balanced diet and all that.
I was going to say we need balanced diets now.
Body is a temple.
So how have you been? How have you been? Good weekend?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Busy. Did a lot of Christmas prep stuff, getting the Christmas trees and decorations and all that sort of thing. So managed to squeeze a little bit of rugby in, but not as much as I'd like, as always. But
standard weekends with
perks
children
of having a family and little kiddies and all that.
Absolutely, I agree. Well, I obviously I just left my kids to it and watched as much rugby as possible. So you're clearly a better dad than I am.
You locked them under the stairs again, have you, mate?
No, mate, we don't talk about that. Anyway, let's get down to business. Obviously, Autumn Nations Cup, the final round came to a conclusion this weekend. And let's leave England and the France game till the end. Let's start with Fiji and Georgia. Oh, what a game! And how different How different the tournament could have been if Fiji had obviously played all the games, contesting for top spot in their group.
Oh yeah, it is such a shame that they weren't able to be in the rest of it, like you say, mate. And missed all the games due to the old COVID outbreak, wasn't it? But no, they're amazing, mate. I just love watching them. They're just fantastic, aren't they? Especially their attacking play with the back line and everything. The back line is just unreal, isn't it? But I think they've got a long way to go to be properly contesting with the sort of tier one sides. But I think they would have given it a good shot this time round. I reckon they.
Oh, I think we might have lost you. Hopefully you will come back. Let's just see. Are you still there, mate? Or are you jamming a sandwich into your mouth?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, mate. Yeah, I think you're probably right. I think it would have been interesting to see how they would have gone. So let's just talk about the Fiji George game. Did you get a chance to watch it or highlights?
Highlights, mate. Highlights. But yeah, it was good. Those the two wingers. Your new Leicester boy is looking pretty youthful, isn't he? Old Nadolo. He's back on the international scene. He's huge, isn't he? Huge.
He is a monster, but also quite skillful and very quick, I think, as well.
Yeah. I think he's actually lost weight, hasn't he? But
yeah, I think
unbelievably.
Yeah. So the game.
But the other winger as well is just unreal, isn't he?
Tuisova, yeah. Ramrandra was playing, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was captain.
Yeah, he seemed quite quiet.
I kind of thought the same, but I suppose if he's got captain's role, he's maybe sort of it's the first time he's been captain, isn't it? So maybe he's sort of focusing on that role rather than being the outstanding standout player, isn't it? But,
yeah, no, that's fair. So the game finished 38-24 to Fiji. I'm assuming defensively Fiji looked, they weren't always great in defence, with Georgia knocking up 24 points, which is the highest Georgia have kind of scored in this tournament. I thought Georgia came to play a little bit as well. I thought they looked quite good. But I think, like you say, just the pure class of that back line was just, potentially going to be too much for them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think Georgia did very well, mate. I think they've not done themselves any injustice the whole tournament. They've put up a bit of a fight in every game, haven't they? But I think in this game, from what I saw, it looked like Fiji kind of got out into such a lead that they almost took their foot off the gas a bit, isn't it? And that's when Georgia started to play a bit more and snuck a couple of tries, didn't they? But but no, I think they did pretty good overall. Georgia, they've had a good tournament for their standing. It's nice to see them on the big stage in whatever you call it as well, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, I'd agree. Just the last question on Fiji Georgia. Do you think Fiji should be putting their hands forward to being like a larger kind of competition, maybe joining the Tri Nations and changing that kind of, that kind of tournament to include more teams, more kind of second tier teams like Fiji? I mean, are Fiji a second tier team now?
I think they're second tier, aren't they? Yeah. I think all of the sort of anything below tier one, they all need more regular games, don't they, against each other and against the tier one guys, isn't it? So, so that's a hot topic of discussion at the moment, anyway. I think, isn't it, with the Pacific Islands in particular, isn't there? And
yeah, absolutely.
But I think they do. Whether or not they can enter into one of the big tournaments like the Tri Nations or the Six Nations, maybe make that sort of eight, because a lot of people have shouted maybe making the Six Nations an 8 Nations tournament, haven't they? Which don't think that'll be the end of the world, but that'd be interesting.
Yeah,
interesting to see if they continue this Autumn Nations Cup ongoing as well or not. But
yeah, I'm not sure they will, mate. So I think the Autumn Internationals have been fixture list for next season has kind of been put out there. So
yeah, I think they have, but I think it would kind of be quite nice to have a little. You could include the Southern Hemisphere boys, couldn't you? If they're coming over to play anyway, like that would be quite interesting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well let's move on to Ireland Scotland. The game finished 31-16 to Ireland. What was your kind of view on this? I mean, I kind of thought Ireland dominated. I mean, we had a conversation earlier, but you thought Scotland were kind of in it until there was a yellow card, wasn't there?
Yeah, old Dunky Taylor, wasn't there? Got a yellow card, but
yeah.
I thought it was pretty well. They were winning, weren't they? Almost to half time in the yellow card, but I thought it was very close. That for me was a bit of a turning point in the game, that yellow card, and then the second half was pretty much all Ireland, wasn't it? But it's a tough one, really, isn't it? It's hard to say whether it would have gone that way anyway. I think probably Ireland would have overpowered and gone in front anyway and taken the lead in the second half, whatever. But I don't know whether they would have to the extent that they did, because they just dominated, didn't they? It was quite sad to see. But
I think a bit of pressure's been taken off Farrell as well, because obviously, listening and reading the Irish press, there's a lot of criticism for him as a manager at the moment. So I think that pressure's probably gone, but I think he needs to have really good Six Nations, otherwise that could be him showing the door.
Yeah, could well be. I'm not so sure if he's obviously a great coach, but I'm not so sure if he's as the main man, the top man, whether he's the right guy for the job. I don't know. We'll soon see, won't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So moving on to Italy-Wales, game finished up 38-18 to Wales. Obviously, Pivac under a lot of pressure throughout this tournament, teams underperforming, etc. Was their performance good enough again to take pressure off of him as the kind of man in charge, or was it just kind of, because again, I thought Italy were quite good, to be fair, and they were in it for about 60 minutes, and Wales just kind of powered on through. Again, I think they had a yellow card. Am I getting my games confused?
To be honest, mate, I didn't see this one.
Okay.
So you've just reviewed it. Well done.
Thank you very much. Okay, so yeah, that ended up there, and I think, again, Alan Wynne-Jones, I think he's knocking on the door to be replaced soon.
Did they play most of the or a lot brought back in the old boys, Alan Wynne and everyone, didn't they, for this one?
Yeah, there was a lot. You had Rhys Samet on the wing and
George North in the centre, was it?
George North in the centre. Who there was a bit of naughty from George North, which went amiss. He was seen to openly knee. Actually, it was just him and the Italian guy who was on his knees, knee the Italian guy in the head, and got away with it, which I saw on Twitter, which I thought was a bit naughty, considering all the issues he has around concussion and has had around concussion and things. It was quite a blatant knee to the head.
Yeah,
but yeah, it wasn't picked up.
If the ref doesn't see it, it never happened, mate.
Well, it's only cheating if you get caught, mate, isn't it? Let's put it that way. Hey ho, never mind. So yeah, and then obviously onto the big game. And prior to obviously the start of the game, I think everybody were thinking England were going to just walk it really. But typically the French side, obviously not all their first choices turned up, and boy did they play. Yeah,
definitely, mate, definitely. I mean, it's always. I think we called it as a big win, didn't we? But there was always the danger especially the French being the French, isn't it? Where they got basically a second string thing and absolutely nothing to lose. Just let the boys go out and play, wasn't it? Which they certainly did. Fair play. Unbelievable, mate. Yeah. Unbelievable. They were, and to be fair, it was unfortunate really that they lost it, wasn't it, in the end? But yeah. I think just the experience and nous of the English side was what won it in the end, wasn't it? The longer that the game went on, I think. But
yeah,
but
I just think obviously Farrell, he missed several kicks. He clearly wasn't on song on that game, and obviously he came under a lot of criticism. The game would have been done and dusted if he'd have made all his kicks, which is, he's a world class player. Everybody's allowed an off day. But I think also they just didn't seem to have a game plan. It was a bit dull. It was a bit boring. It was just that kind of brutish, we'll beat you up. But I think obviously Sean Edwards, defensive coach for the French, he's not going to take a backward step, and he's going to drill that into his players not to take a backward step as well. So I just thought England's kind of tactics to bully them up front didn't kind of work, and again, they didn't look like there was a plan B.
Yeah, agreed. And I think that's probably the most concerning thing out of it. I agree on the Farrell thing. I think obviously if he had kicked all his goals, then the game would have been over well within 80 minutes, wouldn't it? But everyone has an off day, and that happens, doesn't it? But I totally agree. I thought it's a bit concerning because our boys went full tongue at them, didn't they? Trying to like you say, trying to beat them up, and the young French lads completely fronted up and took them on and knocked us back just as much as we knocked them back, wasn't it? So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that actually is a bit of concern, because really, if our pack's going full tilt at someone, we should be dominating more than that, shouldn't we? That's
yeah. And I think obviously when the game was kind of being played, I was watching it live, and you were kind of doing your family stuff, and I remember texting you saying that the French are trying to wind Genji up.
Yeah.
And there was another piece of interesting stuff that was caught on Twitter, and a lot of stuff was kind of caught on Twitter, which we'll pop onto in a minute. He took an elbow to the face by a French player.
Yeah.
Didn't react at all, just walked away. And again, that wasn't kind of picked up. And obviously, there was kind of the stuff about, I think it was Big Billy. Oh, geez, I can't talk. Big Billy. Knocking on in the lead up to the kind of the try that got us into extra time. Did you see any of that? I can't remember if I sent you any of that.
No, I didn't see the knock on. No.
It was an interesting one. I didn't think it was a knock on myself, but I think a lot of people were kind of saying that the French were robbed.
Okay, yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah, but I didn't actually see that. But yeah, because Sean Edwards was going on about it, wasn't he, afterwards?
Yeah.
But no, to be honest, I can't comment as far as I didn't actually see it or see the footage, mate. But my general thing on that is it's done, isn't it? Decision done, referee decision, game over. So
yeah,
it is what it is, isn't it? Deal with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think just one other point I kind of want to raise, because obviously England have won, fair play. They wasn't the best rugby, but they you can say they won ugly. They kind of seemed to gel a bit better when the bench came on. So when Cowan Dickey, is it Johnny Hill from Exeter kind of came on, and obviously it was Cowan Dickey to Hill to got the roll in, the maul to get the try, and obviously Dan Robson came on at scrum half and gave a little bit more zip. I guess my question is, you've got 3 Exeter players in the overall team, Cowan Dickey, Hill, and Slady. Do we think there should be more?
Yeah, potentially, especially if they're looking to play that sort of tactic, isn't it? Beating people up and the driving mauls and everything. Then, there's no team better in the world than Exeter Chiefs at doing that, is there? So you could argue a few more of their lads certainly in the pack, isn't it? Yeah,
I'd agree.
And young Z Robson, like you say, I agree. I think the sort of attacking dangers seemed to go up a level when Robson was on, wasn't it? And Fordy looked a lot more dangerous when Robson was on as well, I thought, George Ford. But
okay.
So there's the argument there on Youngsy as well, isn't it? But
see, I get sorry. I know I said that was my last point, but I do want to make just one point. I think that England need to drop about 5 players, and I'm going to say the 5 players. I think Ben Youngs. I think George Ford. I think Anthony Watson. I think Daly. And who was the other one? No, sorry, 4 players. Those 4 players, I think, should be dropped for informed players. And I think Thorley would do a better job than Anthony Watson. That's not me being anti-Bath. It's just, that's my view. Obviously, I think Ben Young, is a great player, but it just looks so much better when Dan Robson's on. And George Ford, I just think, we'll talk about Marcus Smith in a bit. He's playing really well. Sam Simmons is good. Is Owen Farrell really better at 10 or 12? I don't know. And Daly's just not kind of doing it for me at the moment. He just doesn't look that good. I just wonder what your thoughts were.
I agree with some. I'm not so sure on others. I agree with Daly. I haven't seen him personally. I haven't seen him have a good game for England for quite some time. I also think, actually, rather than dropping Watson, I think he is better suited at fullback for England, because in my view, I don't think there's anyone better under the high ball that has played for England, and also just coming into the line. He's obviously a pretty dangerous attacking guy and runner, isn't he? But then that leaves the wing space open for someone like you say, like Thorley, who probably agree, just justifiably on form. He's probably the man to next step in there, isn't he? But otherwise, and I'm not just saying it because it's fast, but Coconazigo, isn't it? Is if he can get up to his top form, he's a dangerous guy, isn't he? Yeah, Ben Youngs. I like Ben Youngs overall. I think I've always criticised him in one area, and that's his service as a scrum half, as in his passing. Never sort of anywhere near 100% accurate, and quite slow often, which puts your fly half obviously on the back foot straight away. And that's never seemed to have improved. He's a great attacking scrum half, isn't he? And I don't know if he's quite as quick as he used to be in his younger days, but he can still make breaks and be a good attacking force. But I agree. Robson on form is probably the man there. And George Ford, I don't know. I think actually George Ford's playing really well at the moment. And I did think he looked quite sharp, certainly in the second half, and getting the line going. Whatever people say against him, I think having a sort of a rugby mind, knowing the game, tactics, I don't think there's anyone better in England. So does that make him the right choice for number 10? I think Marcus Smith, I totally agree. Bags and bags of talent and unbelievably skillful guy. But has he got that tactical nous like George Ford? I'm not so sure, but that probably comes a bit more with experience, doesn't it? So he's not quite there yet, but I would certainly have him in the squad.
What, you mean Marcus Smith?
Yeah, sorry, Marcus Smith in the squad, but I don't know about a starter yet, because I just don't think he's got the experience and tactical nous like the likes of Ford yet. But
okay.
Did that cover all of them?
I think so, yeah. I mean, no, that's absolutely fair. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and obviously yours is an absolutely valid one at the same time. So, no, that's cool. Okay, so are we happy that it was actually quite a good little tournament?
Yeah, overall, I think it was just nice to see some rugby at the end of the day, wasn't it? So
yeah, no, absolutely, mate. I totally agree. And that kind of brings us on to the obviously there's round 3 of the Gallagher Premiership. Before we start, I think what is quite cool is that some of the games had fans in the stadium.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Great to see. Yep.
Not all the games, but obviously some of them. I think there was. I've lost it now. I've just got my laptop up, but for some reason it's knocked out which games had fans. Anyway, so yeah, I was quite chuffed with that. And obviously last week we made certain predictions about who would win, etc., etc.
Yep.
And I will just say that I was accurate in all of my predictions, every single one.
Were you?
I was, mate. Yes.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
No, I was. Yeah, I was. So that was that's quite cool.
Well, there's a first time for everything, Gareth.
Yeah, no, that is also true. I think it is the first time that I've actually got them all right, which was very enjoyable. And obviously there is no Gallagher Premiership next week.
No.
Because it's Europe starts, so it takes a break. And I think we're kind of back for round 4 in towards the last couple of weeks in December.
Yeah, I think it's the Christmas weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, there's some Boxing Day games as well, I think. I've got a feeling. Sorry, mate, I'm just stalling because I can't get the fixture list up on my.
Do you want me?
On my
Bristol Saints was the first one.
Yeah, so Bristol Saints was the first game, and I thought it was actually quite a good performance initially from Saints. But again, Bristol obviously had several players that were missing, and obviously had a kick at the end to win it. What were your kind of thoughts on the game?
Yeah, similar really. I mean, a great result for Bristol again, because they're, like we said, the last couple of rounds they're pretty much running on a second string team at the moment with their internationals and the amount of injuries they've got. So I think it's actually really the first three rounds for Bristol has been pretty positive, because it's showing that they've got strength and depth. They're winning even when they're not playing particularly amazing rugby and without all their stars, isn't it? So from their point of view, that's good. Northampton, it's really worrying, isn't it? They should have won it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And they will be really aggrieved not to have won that one. But fair play. Last kick of the game, bang, there you go, job done.
Yeah, job done. I think also it's again, looking at the Northampton game, attacking wise they were quite good. They shored up their defence, but it just seems they've got no real scrum, and I don't know. They just, in that respect, they don't look good at all in scrum, which is weird. Obviously, we already kind of said, they've got one of the Franks, can't remember which one, double winning World Cup prop.
Yeah.
Hundreds of caps for New Zealand, and they're not doing well in the scrum. So yeah, I've got to be honest, I'm quite worried for Northampton. I think they're going to
be in the fight, aren't they? I think
they're going to be in the quagmire, mate. I think they're going to be really struggling to survive, I reckon.
Looking that way, definitely. They need to bring Dylan Hartley back out of retirement, I reckon.
Yeah, he'd probably do all right, mate. Okay, so moving on. Next game up, we've got Tigers against Chiefs, obviously at Welford Road. First half, half-time, it was 13-7 to the Tigers.
I think you might have missed the picture there. Was that intentional?
No. I'm talking about Tigers Chiefs.
There was one before that. Are you missing? Are you doing this on purpose? Bath's awesome win.
No,
First win of the season.
I'm just going on the. No, I'm just going on the running order that I've got on my screen now. So it's got the Friday night game with Bristol.
All right, fair enough. It's in a different order to mine. No worries. Carry on.
Oh, sorry, mate. Sorry. So yeah, so Tigers against Chiefs. Tigers were winning at half-time 13-7. And I was thinking, oh, hello, here we go. Are we going to beat them? And no, obviously Chiefs do what Chiefs do best, grind the team down to the point where they're pretty much exhausted and then just carry it on, and put in a fantastic performance. Sam Simmons scores again. Ollie Devoto got a nice kind of a try towards the end. Witten scored another good try. Yendel, a nice power play again. Chiefs are just looking bloody hell formidable, really. Is that the right word?
Yeah, they're looking pretty unbeatable at the moment, aren't they?
Hot.
I think. I think actually this game went exactly as I predicted it, didn't it? I said Tigers will put up a good fight, but will struggle to do it much more than the first half, which is pretty much. But anyway, no, it's the way it goes, isn't it? But I think the positives for Tigers is they did put up a fight for as long as they did, and B, it's the best scoreline against Exeter of anyone so far this season, and.
Well, yeah, they scored the try, didn't they?
Exactly.
It'd be a win for Leicester if
they've
scored
broken the Chiefs' defence, which no one else has done yet this season. So, you've got to take the positives out.
No, absolutely. And looking at the game, I think Leicester will be all right. I don't think Leicester are going to go down. Yeah,
I agree, mate. I think they're fine because you've got quite a few boys to come back in. I know, obviously, international will have an impact, and they're a different side when George Ford's playing. So the number of games that he'll be playing will make a big difference. And you've got a couple of others to come back, and Nadolo,
absolutely. If he can take his international form, I know it's just one game, but bring that into the Premiership, that'd be
if Fordy can make the best out of him, then he could be pretty dangerous in the Premiership.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Okay, let's move on. Newcastle against Wasps. Now, we had disagreed on this one. I said Newcastle and you said Wasps, and bloody hell, Newcastle, mate, they're playing some good rugby, aren't they?
They are, and also Wasps are just struggling big time, aren't they? There's a bit of a combination of the two, wasn't it? But yeah, I mean, fantastic for Newcastle. 3 out of 3 is just superb, isn't it? And they're all. I agree. Who they play? So Wasps, obviously Bath they beat first game. Oh, it's Sale, wasn't it? So technically all like top 4 teams, isn't it? It's brilliant, fantastic.
Yeah, they're doing really, really well. I mean, they were 17-5 up at half time. It was just pretty much from the highlights that I saw. It was quite a dominant performance, really. They were really good. Really good.
Agreed. And Wasps, it's a bit concerning for them, actually, because they've got, I think we said last week, they're affected by, they haven't got loads of internationals, but the boys that are out are quite key to them, aren't they? So that makes a difference. But I think they've got a number of, well, they've got a lot of injuries, and some of them are the big names, and they're out for a little while, I think, aren't they? So old Tom Willis is out for several months, I think, isn't he? And Fico, isn't he? He's out. Is it Fico? Not Fico, that's the French boy. What's his name? The centre, New Zealand centre. Fekatoa.
Yeah,
he's out for a bit. Yeah, so I think when they had that great run coming out of lockdown at the end of last season, they had everyone, fully fit squad and just everyone firing on all cylinders, and it's I think they'll be all right, but I just think they're gonna struggle to get close to top 4. I think this season.
Yeah, no, I think they've obviously got a few guys to come back, but I think they need to start winning. I don't think they're going to be in any kind of relegation battle, but I think there's the potential for them to struggle to make top 4.
I think they're just going to end up a sort of average mid-table side at the moment, by the way it's looking, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd agree. So then moving on to Bath, a nice win for Bath, 33-17, 21-3 up at half time. I mean, was it a good win or was it just lucky?
What? Lucky? No, it's a great win, mate. A fantastic win.
I thought Sale looked I thought it could have gone either way, mate. Looking at the highlights, I thought Sale looked quite good. Sorry, Worcester.
Well, all joking aside, I thought Bath were pretty dominant, but yeah, it got a bit closer in the second half, didn't it? With Worcester coming back a little bit on the scoreline, but no, I never really saw that going any other way. I thought that's obviously by far the best performance by Bath so far this season out of the 3 games, but it's just great. That could easily have been, with the first 2 games and being away to Worcester and not an easy place to go, that could easily have been another defeat. So just to get the win there and the 5 points puts us up to 6 from bottom to 6 in one game. It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's happy, and I guess what's the head coach called?
Hatley, Hooper, director of rugby.
Yeah, sorry, Hooper. Hooper's going to be happy, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Like, certainly a lot happier than the previous 2 weeks. But just got to keep the run going now with the internationals coming back and everything. Forget about Europe is probably the key, and just focus on the Prem for Bath, I think.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. Little interesting story about Hooper. When I actually played rugby against.
Did you? You never told me that.
I'm pretty sure I've said this story before. And it was the quarter-final Colts of the Devon Cup my last year, and he came around the back of a ruck, thinking he was the Billy Bollocks, and I absolutely smoked him, dumped him on his arse, and then my brother kind of came over and stamped on his head. But hey ho, never mind. Let's move on. Sale Sharks against London Irish, 21-13. Obviously Irish at home again. Sale Sharks, it was half time, it was 13-all. I think Irish are looking quite good. They've got some good players, and I think if they can start to win some home games, we could see them progressing up the table a little bit. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think, to be honest, I think overall the standard of what you would normally say is like the bottom teams has gone up again this season. So just makes it a tougher lead, doesn't it? So I think it's going to be quite close, other than Exeter Chiefs. Yeah, no, they look decent. I agree that if they get a good run, they could certainly be climbing that table. But I think they're away to Bath next week, so that's going to stump them, isn't it?
Yeah, no, you are right. Saturday, 26th of December. So that is Boxing Day game, isn't it? Bloody hell! They're all the games of Boxing Day. All games apart from one are on Boxing Day.
That's Boxing Day sorted then.
So that's good. Yeah, get rid of the kids and the missus. Boxing Day rugby. Sale again. I didn't think Sale looked that great. I know obviously they've won and they've probably just done enough to get the win. but again, they just look like they're lacking maybe a bit of confidence, or like lacking, different kind of plans for different teams, different occasions. What's your thoughts?
Similar really, right? They were, it was their best performance so far, I think, but still nowhere near where they can and should be on performance, is it? So they, like you say, they just they upped it enough to win the game essentially, wasn't it? But yeah, I think there's concerns there, isn't it? They're obviously touted as a top 4 side, but they're got some serious work to do to be actually contending for that, I think, this season. I know they've got a lot of boys out, haven't they?
Definitely.
But yeah, like, I agree that I think you've mentioned a couple of times in the last couple of rounds that they just don't seem to have a plan B, do they?
No.
So something's going to have to click for them soon. Otherwise, they could be struggling. Yeah, struggling to get any better than sort of top 6, I reckon.
No, I agree. Okay, so let's move on. Last game is Harlequins against Gloucester. Quins came out on top 34-24. It was quite close at half time. It was 10-17 to Quins. Quins are looking good.
Yep.
Marcus Smith is pulling the strings. I think, like we said last week, that the inside centre, although he got sin-binned, didn't he? He's obviously going to be a decent signing for Quins, giving them some go-forward ball. I think in this game, didn't Gloucester have quite a few injuries, though? Didn't they end up with like a flanker in the centre and something like that?
Yeah, I only saw the highlights, so I didn't see.
Yeah,
I think so, mate. I think I didn't see the detail of that because I only saw the highlights of this one. But yeah, I think Woodward pulled out just before the game, didn't he? And then, like you said, a couple of other backs went out quite early on in the game, wasn't it? But so yeah, I think they were struggling a bit. But I don't know. I don't know whether. I think I predicted a Gloucester home win. Did you say Quins?
You did. I did. Well, yeah, I did say Quins, mate, yeah. Yeah,
Quins are looking pretty useful, and they've still got a couple of boys to come back, haven't they?
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think it's just whether consistently they can do it. That's going to be the thing, isn't it? It's whether they consistently kind of maintain that kind of away form. Obviously they've got to make their home form count. But yeah, it's whether they kind of take that home form away, because normally they're quite good at home.
Yeah, that's always been their thing, isn't it? Consistency. But if they can, they've definitely got the team, well, to beat anyone really on their day, haven't they? But it's whether they can get a bit of continuity. But they certainly started well. I think I've heard a rumour it might be Danny Care's last season as well for Quinn. So that might make a difference with him wanting to go out with a bit of a final flurry or whatever, and the rest of the team going along with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, that would be, yeah. Where's he? Is he off to somewhere in France?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything confirmed yet, but I heard a rumour he might be going to Biarritz, I think.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Why not? End your career somewhere nice.
Finish it off in the sun down in the south of France or whatever. Very nice.
Absolutely. Okay, so we'll just finish up on that there, and just have a look at the table. So Exeter top of the table, 15 points. Newcastle second with 12. Then Bristol, Sale, Quins, Bath, London Irish Tigers, Gloucester, Wasps, Worcester, and Northampton. Unfortunately, at the bottom with just 2 points, and Worcester are 2 points ahead of them with 4. Obviously, there's a long way to go, but it's certainly shaping up to be an interesting season.
Yeah,
ahead,
definitely,
don't you think?
Definitely. Just seeing Newcastle in second after 3 is a standout thing there, I think, isn't it? You still there? You still there, mate?
Definitely. Yes, I'm still here, mate. Sorry. Yeah, I agree. I think I'm really chuffed for Newcastle. I was, like I said before, really worried for them when they lost that friendly game against Ely, and I was thinking, bloody hell, this could be a torrid old time for them. But yeah, they've got to be, after 3 rounds, a team. Obviously, Exeter are the team, but the team for the rest of the teams that are doing really well. Anyway, let's not bother talking about fantasy rugby. We'll just we'll move on from that one, shall we? How many points have you?
Don't know, mate. Steamed ahead this week, haven't I? Steamed ahead. What happened? What happened to you?
Yeah. Well, I think what happened is that obviously I lost the Gloucester prop. He pulled out and didn't get a chance to sub him out.
Okay. And what about the other 90 points?
And I also obviously started on -20, and obviously made the mistake that Dupree was playing for Sale. I got the wrong Dupree. So, yeah, that's my own fault, really. But, yeah, I mean, it was Saturday. It was going quite well for me. I jumped back up to number 1 in the table. And then come Monday and all the rest of the games are done, you're, as you say, steaming ahead. I wouldn't say steaming. I'd say casually walking away. But, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens in round 4 and see whether I can up my game for the fantasy rugby.
Yeah, I can't see it, mate. I can't see it. But good luck to you.
Thank you very much. So, like I said, there is no Premiership next week. But are you going to be around to have a little review of the? I think we can't necessarily review all the games in the Championship and the Challenge Cup, but maybe we could kind of have a look at the English teams and how they.
Yeah, that's probably a good way to do it, isn't it? Look at the Prem teams in Europe. Yeah, I'm happy to do that, mate. I can hook up some point next week.
Fantastic. All right, buddy. Well, listen, thank you very much for coming along again, and I will check in with you next week.
Okay, mate. Thanks for having me again.
Okay, buddy. You enjoy your banana, and I'll speak to you soon.
See you next week, mate. Cheers.
Bye, mate.
Bye.
Well, that brings episode 10 of the Top 2 Inches Rugby podcast to a close. I hope you enjoyed listening as much as we did producing it for you. As I've said before, it's available on various platforms such as Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube. What we will be reviewing next week is the start of the European Championship. Exeter will go and defend their title as the Gallagher Premiership takes a break. It also means there will be no fantasy rugby update this next episode. We will also have another Games I Remember. Hopefully Ollie or both of us will be reviewing a game maybe that we were at together. Anyway, it just leaves me to say thank you very much, and we will be back in your ears soon.